We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It's Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. And as you're listening to this, I'm either en route to Florida, at which point I'll get into a car and drive to Savannah, Georgia. I'm going to be in Savannah till January 9th, so a full week. Now, the reason I'm flying to Florida first is because the airline my wife works for doesn't fly to Savannah directly during the winter months, only April through November. Okay. So now I have to find some jerry rig way to get there. So we fly to Orlando, get a car, drive about 3.5, 4 hours to Savannah. It's not optimal. I know that, but it's better than not doing it. So that's why we're fucking doing it. Anyhow, so when you're listening to this, I'll either be in the air, in a car, driving from Florida to Savannah. And trust me, I'm getting the fuck out of Florida as quickly as I can. It really troubles me too, because there's so many places I do really love in Florida. Orlando isn't one of the places I particularly like, but as you go further south, there's some beautiful areas and some great people too. It's just unfortunate you have a governor that's fucking things up and making it unsafe for a lot of different kinds of people. I just can't bring myself to spend money in Florida, even though I am with this car. And there's one other thing we will do. My wife found this place as you're coming out of Orlando, headed toward Jacksonville, and then you go straight north from Jacksonville to go to Savannah. There's this little bar. It's called the Deltona. Very small dive bar type of place. And we stopped in there one day because we were hungry. And we were surprised to find a lot of familiarity with this bar, because apparently this bar is a place where a lot of people that have moved down there go, because this bar is dedicated to Minnesota Vikings football fans. Now, after the recent game, I don't know how many fans are going to be there, but they have great food. And my son's going to be with me this time. So we're going to take him in there and let him experience a Viking bar just outside of Orlando, Florida. The other thing I'm excited about, the last week to 10 days has been kind of a desert when it comes to news. Everybody's on vacation, everybody's taking off from work, so there hasn't been a lot going on. And as I do this podcast, nothing yet has really happened. A few things that we can talk about, but not like a regular news day. Now that we're past New Year's Day, this is the first day when things start to get back to work, unless you're in Congress, and then they don't get back till next week because they've got to relax from their luxurious vacation that they had for the last 10 days. Interesting thing, though, is that when they get back, they got about a week or less to come up with a plan for the budget and the spending bills so the country doesn't shut down. Don't you love that, how they will agree on a continuing resolution to give them some time to talk about this, to negotiate it, and then they don't do anything till the last week or a few days before it. Now, there's going to be people doing the same things they've done every time. Oh no, they're going to shut it down. What's going to happen if they shut it down? They're not going to shut it down. Mike Johnson will puss out like Kevin McCarthy did. The Republicans have far too much to lose if the government shuts down. They like to double and triple down on these demands and try to play the tough guy. But when it comes down to it, they'll fold up like they always do. So as we get closer to that deadline where the country may shut down and they're trying to scare you, don't be afraid of it. Just wait it out. And at the last minute, they will come up with at least a temporary plan. So we should be good. A lot of other things going on this month, though. January is going to start things out for 2024 fast and furious. We're probably going to get some responses from the Supreme Court regarding Donnie's immunity, which he'll never get. We'll probably hear information about Donald Trump being taken off the ballot in Colorado. And depending on how that goes, that could be devastating to Donald Trump. If the Supreme Court agrees with the Colorado Supreme Court, Donnie's done as far as the election goes. And it'll be interesting to see what he tries to do then, because there'll be no place to appeal it to, no place to go to delay it. He will be fucking done. It's just going to be interesting to see if the Supreme Court allows that to happen. Now, the Colorado Supreme Court kind of tricked the U.S. Supreme Court, because the basis for their finding, they quoted a former federal judge at the time, Gorsuch, who's now on the Supreme Court, and Kavanaugh. They both made decisions regarding something similar to this. And if they don't find with the Colorado Supreme Court, then they would be going opposite of that. It's going to be a little tough for them to explain this. So we'll be watching and see what happens. I think E. Jean Carroll's case starts again this month. This is the second defamation of character lawsuit. It'll be interesting to see if Donald Trump then defames her again. He's dumb enough to do it. Rudy Giuliani did it. Donald Trump has already done it. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that Donald Trump will do it again. Why not? I mean, how is he ever going to pay her? He's going to be in jail. What the fuck? Might as well make some hay while the sun shines. Excuse me. All right, I do have some emails, and this first one is not really an email. It's a DM. It's kind of long, but I thought I'd read it nonetheless. Starts out, you're 110% right. Just the people who need to get cleaned up are the ones who are not showing that they know the difference between right and wrong. They just want to keep making their money. It's a lottery ticket for them. Only it's up to them how the game is played. We regular people can't play this game because we have been exiled for playing by the rules, and they don't like a fair game because they just might lose. I wish you would talk about all these rich celebrities who most likely voted for Trump, even though no one can prove it other than the rich. They've always cared about being rich, and if the president is going to save them money on taxes, well, then why wouldn't they vote for him? And now they're showing their real colors by saying if he's elected, they will do what rich people always do, which is run. You know as well as I do that they have associated with Trump's family one time or two. They may not like him, but if it can save them money, they are all for it. People like Kid Rock, John Daly, Dana White, who in my mind are traitors because they condone this behavior and they don't give a shit about us working people. They can get richer with him in office. And if anyone thinks that the rich don't want more money, then that proves my point about the lack of smarts in people. They will say one thing and do the opposite when the cameras are off and threaten anyone who speaks out about what they are doing, because who's going to believe them over a multimillionaire that is well respected by the people of this country and the world? This was signed by Tweak 13. Don't know what that means. And the fact of the matter is, he's right, though. There is a lot of wealthy people who have sidled up next to Donald Trump, which I'm amazed by. They've got to be able to see how much damage he's done to the reputations and the futures of so many people. I mean, Dana White, I'm not surprised by him. He's a meathead. He's like Joe Rogan. He's the exact kind of person that would side with Donald Trump. And I don't even know if it's about money. It's that tough guy reputation. But let's be perfectly honest. Donald Trump is the furthest from being a tough guy. He's just not a fucking tough guy. He's a wuss. I guess the thing that surprised a lot of folks when he came out to that UFC fight, he came out with Kid Rock, another dipshit. Who gives a fuck about Kid Rock? I mean, Kid Rock would be relevant if he had a hit in the last 20 years, but he didn't. He doesn't. Kid Rock's a fucking dope. He's, he plays like this redneck, poor country boy, and he's comes from a wealthy family just outside of Detroit. I was in the area of town he grew up in. I went to a concert there with my wife. It was Bob Seger in an outdoor venue, and his home wasn't too far from there. It's a fucking nice area. This isn't redneck country. This is rich country, and that's where Kid Rock comes from. But the other one that I found surprising is Mario Lopez, the guy from Saved by the Bell. And now he's kind of a plug in Ken doll whenever they need some kind of MC someplace. He's not especially talented as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, he's be in movies and other TV shows. But he can be an MC of some bullshit show. I am surprised that he would show that he has support for Donald Trump. I mean, this guy doesn't have much of a career anyway. Is he honestly going to submarine that career for this dumb fuck? Well, apparently he is. Was never a fan of Mario Lopez in the first place, but now I hate the fucker. Not only because he's buddies with Donald Trump and supports Donald Trump, but because he's dumb enough to stand next to Donald Trump and expose who the fuck he is. If you're that stupid, you deserve what you're going to get. All right. The next email. Hi, Boomer. Good grief. Didn't you just set the tone for the new year with this quote? Yeah, I like this quote. I've said it many times and most people don't catch it. The Republican Party will be standing with their least impressive appendage in their hand with their mouth agape trying to figure out what to do now. That there is a humdinger, Boomer. Yeah, and I wrote that myself. I didn't get it from anybody. I got it from myself. I've said it over and over on TikTok. Nobody catches it. I appreciate that, Jeff. Allow me to add an amendment that out of the corner of their agape mouths is a long strand of drool, usually associated with the stereotype of limited intelligence. There, now it's perfect. Best, Garage Door Jeff. Yes, I'll agree that it does add a lot to what I said, but this is about timing. It has to be efficient and timing. So I need to get what I have to say said in the shortest amount of way. You've added a lot of words to it. They're all valid. They do make it better. But for trying to sell it, you need it short, concise, and compact. But thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. I think Garage Door Jeff was further inspired because I think he wrote another one here. He says, Hi, Boomer. Happy New Year. I'm pretty sure I'm the first listener of 2024. You can see this email is at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's possible. I wake up brutally early. I'm actually trying to adjust that, but I'm often up early enough to see your episode come out hot and fresh like a chocolate Dunkin' donut. Yeah, I don't know if I'd make that comparison. Dang podcast is still hot to the touch. Thanks in advance for what I know you'll bring in 2024. Best, Garage Door Jeff. Honestly, I don't know if it's any better when it's fresh, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that you jumping on it right away when it comes out. Folks like you are what makes it worthwhile for me to sit here and do this bullshit. I got a note from somebody, TJ. TJ has been on the show. He sent a number of emails. Good guy, smart guy. And he said, Happy New Year. And I went on vacation for about a week, so I missed a lot of the podcast. So when I came home, I listened to 7 straight podcasts over 8 hours. TJ sat in one spot, or maybe not in one spot, but listened to 7 Rational Boomer podcasts. I don't know whether to thank you or feel sorry for you. You might want to get a hobby, TJ. No, I appreciate it immensely. I don't know how you do it. I couldn't listen to myself for 8 hours. That would drive me fucking nuts. But I appreciate the fact that you did and made the effort to stay up to date. All right. The next one. Hi. First, you asked the following: who would listen to a podcast on Christmas and New Year's Day? Answer: me and a lot of others. Well, apparently that's true. Also, regarding the 10-inch binder and other classified documents in the empty manila folders, doesn't the government make copies? The government probably has files when we all had to go to the bathroom. So no copies on sensitive documents? Hard to believe. Your thoughts? And I believe this one comes from Roy. Yeah, I'm sure they do have copies, and I think they have cataloging of these documents too. I mean, there's sheets that catalog what these documents are and what they look like and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't really matter because if the information is out there, whether it's from a copy or the original, it's still dangerous. So there probably are copies, but that doesn't mean they don't have a need to get this shit back. I'm sure they know exactly what's in these documents that have been released. That's maybe why they're so concerned about it. So yeah, they probably do have copies. And if they don't have copies, you can bet that Donald Trump made a few fucking copies. Why sell one document when you can sell it 20 times? I don't know, just business 101. All right, the last email. Hi Mike, happy new year to you and your family. Mike, I want to hear your thoughts on the upcoming special house election in the New York former fraudster Congressman George Santos represented the third congressional district. That motherfucker. Thank God I don't live in that district. Democrats picked former Congressman Tom Suozzi as the nominee, while Republicans picked Mazzy Melissa Philippe. Now, the issue is that Philippe is a registered Democrat and she is not trustworthy. What is your take on it, Jen? I did read something about that. I don't know. She may be a registered Democrat, but the Republicans wouldn't back her to be in this spot unless they felt like she was going to side with them. I think the Democrats who know this person, I don't know her, but if you're from the area, you likely know her. You know what kind of person she is. I mean, it may not be unlike Robert F. Kennedy, a Democrat, trying to primary Joe Biden. How long did he last in that process? He quickly realized he had no chance against Joe Biden, then said he was going to go independent, and he's ultimately going to hurt the Republicans more than he hurts the Democrats. I don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, this has been an absolute shit show for New York. I would hope that after this incredible embarrassment that this district has gone through by electing um, George Santos, I would hope by now they take a more serious look at who they elect. I would hope the Democrats aren't fooled by this in that New York district. I don't know that they won't be fooled because I don't know much about it. And frankly, their track record with electing George Santos isn't good. I'm not really worried about it either way. It would be nice if a real Democrat got in there. Uh, but here's one thing to think about. Whether she sides with the Democratic Party or not, when she comes in, if she's still registered as a Democrat, that would offset the margin. Now, she may or may not side with the Republicans on most things or just be fucking crazy, but she is, in fact, a Democrat. So that would be one less Republican and one more Democrat. And if you get enough of those things happening, all of a sudden, Mike Johnson is no longer the Speaker of the House. So I'm not real worried about it. You know, frankly, in this election, it's not like she's going to be there very long if it's her that gets it or Tom Suozzi, because they're only going to run the remainder of their term, and that's November of 2024. So there'll be another election in 2024. We don't have the majority right now. The Republican Party can get nothing done in the House of Representatives. So what really does it matter? If they're not going to get anything done, if she's a goof and is going to side with the Republicans, at least she'll give us one extra Democrat in there for posterity's sake, and nothing's going to happen anyway. So I'm not really worried about that. I'm not worried about who's replacing George Santos. It's just absolutely silly that that motherfucker got in there in the first place. Well, Donnie Trump is angry with Liz Cheney, but what's new? He's been angry with Liz Cheney for some time. Trump accused former Representative Liz Cheney of deleting evidence of a long debunked claim that he offered to provide 10,000 soldiers to defend the Capitol on January 6, 2021. This is what he said. Why did American disaster Liz Cheney delete and destroy most of the evidence and related items from the January 6th committee of the political thugs and misfits? Trump wrote in a New Year's Day post on Truth Social. This act of extreme sabotage makes it impossible for my lawyers to properly prepare for and present a proper defense of their client, me. The 45th president has lodged this accusation before, and according to the Washington Post, it's been debunked twice. Yeah, but it's an oldie but a goodie. Trump never requested 10,000 national troops to secure the Capitol that day. The number was tossed around in casual conversation that is now regarded by his supporters as a lifeline to excuse his inactions when a mob inspired by his rhetoric invaded the Capitol. The Defense Department never considered Trump's remarks to be a direct order, according to the Post. Trump also targeted former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who he claimed refused his offer of support. Now, frankly, that just never happened. And it's not up to Nancy Pelosi to send out the National Guard. That's Donald Trump. Indirectly, Donald Trump, because it's actually the Pentagon. They had Mike Flynn's brother handling all of that regarding the National Guard. And who does he take his orders from? Nancy Pelosi? I hardly fucking doubt it. You're going to take it from the White House. And since we know that Donald Trump was asked multiple times to do something, say something to stop this by his own people, and he refused, it's not too surprising to find out that he was the one that held back the National Guard. But this is Donald Trump. He just comes up with bullshit and throws it out there. Oh, Liz Cheney must have erased all the information. Please, motherfucker. We all know better than this. It's been debunked twice. It's a stupid concept, and it's a flailing Hail Mary. And that's all you've got these days. He went on to say all of the information on crazy Nancy Pelosi turning down 10,000 soldiers that I offered to guard the Capitol building and beyond is gone. Why would he offer 10,000 soldiers? First of all, it wouldn't be appropriate for the military to be there. It would be the National Guard. Secondly, the only reason why he would, if in fact he suggested having 10,000 troops there, that would have to mean he expected trouble. And if he expected trouble, I'm curious as to what Donald Trump knew before this attack took place. And then we're back to the point where he was the one involved with organizing and inciting these fucks. It's just a stupid argument, and it would bite them in the ass if anybody believed it, but they don't. The ridiculous, deranged Jack Smith's case on immunity, which the most respected legal minds in the country say I'm fully entitled to, is now completely compromised and should be thrown out and terminated, just like the radical left lunatics did to the evidence. There isn't one person I've heard that said this immunity claim has any substance at all. It's a fucking joke. And I'm sure the courts are going to be pissed off that they even have to deal with it. But again, Donald Trump just makes shit up, just starts spewing shit. And this is what we get. Now, the accusation echoes one he tossed back in September on NBC News, where he said, I behaved so well. I did such a good job. Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 soldiers. No, she didn't. And it wasn't her place. A spokesperson for Pelosi answered this question. On January 6th, the speaker, a target of an assassination attempt that day, was no more in charge of Capitol security than Mitch McConnell was. This is a clear attempt to whitewash what happened on January 6th and divert the blame. And of course it is. It is ridiculous. If Nancy Pelosi could do it, why couldn't Mitch McConnell? Why couldn't the President of the United States, if the President of the United States calls the National Guard and says, get the fuck out there is no way Nancy Pelosi can say, no, no, we don't want them. Send them back. You think Donald Trump is going to let Nancy Pelosi tell him what to do? Yeah, I don't fucking think so. So this whole argument, this whole strategy to try to whitewash this, it ain't going to work. Nobody's buying it. This is why I'm always amazed when people think that Donald Trump is smart. The shit he says is so stupid. I mean, it sounds like a child came up with it, coming up with anything just to avoid getting punished. That's who Donald Trump is, except in this case, the punishment is going to be much harder than a timeout. Donnie's going to spend some time in lockdown, and he's not going to fare well once he does. Now, the people closest to former President Donald Trump are the ones who have raised concerns about whether he's fully there mentally, according to Jonathan Karl, and that was on MSNBC. Now, Karl appeared on The Readout to discuss the leading conservative candidate's capacity to return to the White House in 2025 as analyzed by his former top cabinet members. Yeah, his own people think the fucker's nuts, that he's mentally diminished. People who have raised questions about whether or not he's fully there mentally have been the people closest to him, Karl told Joy Reid. The people who have raised the alarms about what it could be if he comes back are the people closest to him. Now, Karl wrote the Trump tell-all front row at the Trump show, said Trump's actions and failures to act on January 6, 2021 spurred serious concerns about the former president's ability to rule. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and former Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin have both denied those claims, but Karl noted there is sworn testimony acknowledging the conversations have occurred. They'll deny it now because they don't want the wrath of Donald Trump. I mean, this is what it's all about. These people are scared to death of Donald Trump. And because of that, they're risking their careers by siding with Donald Trump. It's absolutely amazing to me that they're willing to do that, but that just tells you how much how cowardice these folks are, how big of cowards they are. Karl noted they didn't go very far as you started to have people resign from the cabinet. There were fewer people that would have voted for it. So, I mean, we're seeing it firsthand. People resigning, people stepping away from Donald Trump, people agreeing to testify against Donald Trump. Donald Trump only hires the best people. And these best people are turning on Donald Trump. And it's put him in a bad situation. He's upset, he's concerned, he's worried, and now he's willing to say anything. But all you have to do is listen to him talk. If you listen to him talk, he is not all there. My only question is, has he ever been all there? Because as much as people think he's this smart guy playing 3D chess, that never was the case. The shit coming out of Donald Trump's mouth has been stupid since 2015. And probably before that, I just never paid attention to him. But since 2015, he's been saying crazy shit. Like when he was called out for saying he grabbed women by the genitals. And then he refers to it as just locker room talk. When has Donald Trump been in a locker room? The only locker room I know of Donald Trump being is in the Miss America pageant when the girls were getting dressed, the teenage girls getting dressed to put on the show. That's the only locker room I know Donald Trump has ever been in recent times. Donald Trump is not a smart man. And every time he opens his mouth, he hurts himself more. And that's why we should welcome any comments that he has, because every time he does it, he fucks himself over. And I also find it very entertaining. I mean, the words he uses and the things he says are very adolescent, something you would hear out of a middle schooler. And it will tell you a little bit about who we're dealing with. He certainly is a narcissist, but he's not a very bright one. As I've said, my father was a narcissist, but he was very bright, far more dangerous, far more insidious. Fortunately, he didn't hold any power over great amounts of people or great amounts of money. I mean, he did all right on his own. He made some money, but his control really only extended over his family. So we were the only ones to see the ridiculousness in what this guy said. So now you have Donald Trump, who's dumber and has sway over a lot more people. That makes this motherfucker dangerous. And he is, in fact, dangerous. There's no question about it. But in as far as diminished cognizant abilities, Joe Biden might have some because he's 82 years old. Donald Trump definitely has some because he's only a few years younger and he's a lot less healthy physically, mentally, emotionally. He's a fucking mess. He's broken at every level, and the cracks are starting to show. And eventually, here he'll come apart. He won't last until the 2024 election. There's too much going on, and he is going to fall apart. He will end up collapsing one way or another. All right, we are going to wrap. No, we're not going to wrap it up. I'm trying to push this along fast. I'm doing this just before I have to get up early and get on an airplane. What we're going to do is take a break, and we'll be right back. Now, a former representative from New York made some predictions regarding Donald Trump, some of which I agree and others I disagree. A former Republican congressman predicted on New Year's Day that Donald Trump will never face trial in Jack Smith's election subversion case, but that the GOP will be scrambling to find a replacement for him as he drops out of the presidential race. First one I disagree with, and he'll explain why he thinks he won't stand trial. But that's absolutely ridiculous. Unless that motherfucker keels over and dies on Fifth Avenue, he's going to be in court. There's just no two ways about it. He will try everything to stay out of court, but there's only so much he can do. Now, regarding the other part where Donald Trump may drop out of the presidential race and the GOP will be scrambling to find a replacement, I agree with that. And I've said that many times. Now, in a long list of predictions for the new year, ex-rep John LeBoutier took particular aim at the trial set to start on March 4th in Washington. But he predicts that the trial will never start because Trump will do everything he can to avoid it. He's been doing that, and he's failed at every turn. What more can he do to avoid it if he's taken shit to the Supreme Court? There's really no other place to take it. So I think you're giving him too much credit. Trump is doing all he can to delay his trial because it's highly likely he will be convicted on 4 felony counts. He is or should be deathly afraid of this case for good reason, LeBoutier wrote. He went on, Trump will exhaust every appeal and delay, as is his right, but eventually those appeals will reach an end, and then will come perhaps the key moment of the 2024 election and of Trump's life, a trial. My prediction, Trump will never walk into the trial. He will either become sick and unable to stand trial, or he'll make a plea to deal to avoid prison. Here's where I disagree. He may fake sickness. Yeah, maybe. But he's a highly sought after criminal. You better be able to prove he's fucking sick because him lying and bullshitting his way through that's not going to cut it. And secondly, he says, well, he'll probably cut a deal. No, he's not. Who's going to give Donald Trump a deal? He's top of the food chain. He's the fucking target. Everybody who gets a deal to get that motherfucker. He's not getting a deal. We know he's not getting a deal in Georgia. And if Fonnie Willis isn't giving him a deal in Georgia, do you really think Jack Smith is? Please, motherfucker, think about what you're saying. That's ridiculous. All right, on New Year's Eve, Donald Trump had a big bash at Mar-a-Lago. all kinds of extravagant cars, champagne, and fireworks, a brief political speech, and of course, a teenage mutant turtle joining Vanilla Ice on stage for a performance of Ice Ice Baby, as one does. A teenage ninja turtle. Well, you can get any fucking clown in a costume. But Vanilla Ice, what are you doing? I suppose Vanilla Ice has realized his career has been dead for 25 years or so. What the fuck? How could that hurt anything? Now, Vanilla Ice wasn't the only T-list celeb at the gala. There was singer Lee Greenwood. He performed the perennial Trump rally favorite, Proud to Be an American, before Trump took the stage for a few minutes. Now, this Lee Greenwood song that came out, 35 years ago? Good song at the time when being a patriot was a good thing. It's not any longer. Does not surprise me that Lee Greenwood would jump all over Donald Trump if he's going to use his song, because he's trying to generate some money. He's got publishing on that motherfucker, and nobody's playing it on the radio these days, especially now that Donald Trump co-opted it. Those videos and photos of other big Trump world names are below, but the main event was obviously this performance by Vanilla Ice and TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Good was staying up with the times. You got a white rapper nonetheless, which isn't surprising. But he was popular 30 years ago. Vanilla Ice is doing a show now where he's flipping houses. So why he would come and do Ice Ice Baby for Donald Trump, that shows how out of touch and ignorant that motherfucker is. Now, lots of other photos and videos were posted online by attendees, although most of them were just different angles on Vanilla Ice's performance. Yeah, Vanilla Ice was the biggest star there. That tells you a little bit about that fucking get together. But there were some other Trump familiar faces, not quite as popular and well known as the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Vanilla Ice, but still notable. Roger Stone posted a photo from his table at the party, and Trump lawyer Alina Habba, soon to be disbarred, was there hanging out with Fox News host Jeanine Pirro. Jeanine Pirro, the one that's on the air drunk most of the time. Giuliani also dropped early that day, a New Year's Eve message from the streets of New York via his various social media accounts. So he wasn't there. He just sent a message from his social media. Now, surprisingly, the party was not attended by Melania Trump. No, his wife didn't even fucking show up. Now, normally she's a big part of such events, but throughout the holidays has been caring for her ailing mother. Yeah, I bet she has. Trump talked about her absence in his remarks, and many prayers have been offered on social media. However, Donald and Melania matchmaker and current ambassador of Dominica, Paolo Zampoli, was there and snapped a few photos with Trump and a video of Vanilla Ice's performance. Oh, you can take that back to your Gen X kids and they'll think you're so cool. Ice Ice Baby. I didn't like Vanilla Ice when he put it out. I like him even less now. And now that I know that he's a Trump supporter, I hate the motherfucker. I dislike the motherfucker. Now, Lauren Boebert's finding herself in a bit of a pickle. She was elected to the House of Representatives in the 3rd District in Colorado. But things have been going awry for her. She's an idiot. She's not accomplishing anything. And she had that little incident where she was groping a man in a crowded theater. That could have happened to anybody. Well, anyway, the guy that ran against her, the Democrat that ran against her last time and almost beat her, is taking her to task in the polls and in fundraising. She sees the writing on the wall. She's not going to win this one in the 3rd district. So what's she going to do? She's instead going to uproot her family, move to the fourth district, and run in the district where Ken Buck, who just retired, is a was a representative. And the reason she's doing this is because it's a more Republican district, and she thinks she has a better chance. I mean, what does she believe that the people in the third district know all about her bad shit? That she can go to the fourth district and they won't have heard anything about this? They won't have an opinion of Lauren Boebert? She's kind of a trashy sort, and this is kind of a Tony area. I don't think they're going to cotton to her too well. And the thing about it is that she's got three other Republicans that are going to run against her in a primary. I honestly don't think Lauren Boebert's going to get reelected in the third district or the fourth district. She's fucking done. And she's a little concerned about it. So much so that she is blaming Hollywood stars Ryan Reynolds and Barbara Streisand as part of the reasons why she decided to switch districts. That Ryan Reynolds, he's a bastard. Now, Boebert accused Hollywood stars of trying to buy her current congressional district by donating to her Democratic opponent, Adam Frisch, in an interview on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast Saturday. She said the reason for switching from the state's third congressional district to the fourth congressional district was about how we can best defend and advance conservative principles. But we need a strong voice there, and we have to shut down the Hollywood elites who are trying to buy my current district, she said. There has been close to $10 million poured into this district to buy the seat, and Colorado's third district is not for sale. Then why are you leaving? Apparently it is for sale. And you know what? I don't feel bad for you, because this is part and parcel. If what you're saying is true, this is part and parcel to what the Republicans do in every district. They buy the seats. They scam their way into the seats. And so now you think you're going to the fourth district and it's all going to be good. Well, it's funny because there's a lot of Republicans calling your shit out, not happy with it. Boebert's not going to win in the fourth district or the third district. Now, she announced her district switch last week, meaning she'll be avoiding a rematch with Frisch. She narrowly defeated Frisch in the 2022 midterms by about 546 votes. Since then, Frisch has outraised Boebert with $7.7 million for his campaign, compared with her $2.2 million. Not quite $10 million, but I get what you're saying, Lauren. Now, Boebert has repeatedly said she will not allow dark money to steal this seat. She echoed that statement in the recent interview again, reiterating that her opponents are being funded by Hollywood. It's coming from Hollywood when you have Barbara Streisand coming in and donating to the Democrat, when you have Ryan Reynolds coming in and donating to the Democrat, she said. It shows you that Hollywood is trying to buy their way into Congress. It's ironic that Lauren Boebert was said, we need a good conservative stronghold here. So you turn tail and run from the third district because you can't win, and you're going to try to win in the fourth district. I have no doubt that a Republican will win in the fourth district, but it ain't going to be you. It's going to be somebody that has a above a high school education. And now they could certainly win. They certainly can't be as dumb and as criminal as you are, so we'll have to deal with whatever they have to deal with. But by leaving the third district, you basically gave it to Frisch. And how in the hell are you making the Republican conservative stronger by turning tail and running from the third district and letting the Democrats have it? Please tell me how that shows how you're working for the Republican Party. Sounds like you're working for Lauren Boebert and her own personal self-enrichment. Lauren, they shut down your bar and restaurant, so you're going to need to do something for a job. And this job as a rep is kind of a sweet deal, isn't it? Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that You're not going to have that opportunity again. You're not going to get reelected. You're not going to get that $175,000 a year to do jack shit but cause problems. Now, here's what's interesting. She's blaming Ryan Reynolds and Barbara Streisand for funding this opponent of hers, Frisch. Well, according to the Federal Election Commission filings, Streisand donated $1,000 to Frisch's campaign in April, while Reynolds donated $500 in March. He's got $7.7 million in donations, and between Ryan Reynolds and Streisand, he got $1,500. Yeah, I see the problem with Hollywood. They're throwing in these minuscule donations, and it scares you. You're trying to come up with some bullshit reason to make the switch. You're getting some heat about it now, and you don't know how to answer to it. Well, your complaint doesn't hold water. It's bullshit. So Boebert will now be running for Representative Ken Buck's seat, which comes after he announced his plans not to seek re-election last year. The switch opens up the GOP nomination for the state's 3rd congressional district, giving the Republican candidate a stronger chance of defeating Frisch, as Boebert has been riddled by controversies during her tenure. And they're right about that. There was no chance that Lauren Boebert would win in that district, as close as it was last time, and as much as she fucked things up. So another Republican could come in there, and maybe the Republicans elect him because it's a Republican district. But how does that help the Republicans? Now you're going to go to the 4th district, and if you can't get elected in the 3rd district, what makes you think you're going to get elected in the 4th district? Once again, it's nothing more than a Hail Mary pass that isn't going to work. All right, if you're on TikTok or any place on the internet, you're hearing about this big news, of course, that Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs or list of some sort are going to be revealed at some point in the not too distant future. The names of as many as 200 people connected to Jeffrey Epstein could be made public on Tuesday, but Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene cares about only one of them. A few weeks ago, U.S. District Judge Loretta Preska ordered the unsealing of court documents that identified people associated with the disgraced financier who died in a New York City jail in 2019 while facing charges on sex trafficking and conspiracy to traffic minors. The list could be released today, and some of the names expected to be on it include former President Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. Now, on Sunday, Greene offered her take on the upcoming release and used the opportunity to attack Clinton, who reportedly flew on Epstein's jet multiple times, according to Epstein's former pilot. In a post, it said, "For some of us, it's no surprise at all that the Bill Clinton will be named in the Jeffrey Epstein files. We said it a long time ago, but they labeled us conspiracy theorists. There will be lots of names you've never heard, and the IC collected info on them. Pedophiles belong in jail, not on secret government list." Now, Clinton's friendship with Epstein, whose death was ruled a suicide, admittedly looks sketchy. Still, many people on X, formerly known as Twitter, called out the controversial congresswoman for going after Clinton, a Democrat, while ignoring Epstein's longtime association with Trump. And let me put it to you this way. You want to go after Bill Clinton? Who fucking cares? I wasn't a Bill Clinton fan back in the day, and he's a Democrat. He hasn't been president for what? For how long? For years. He's a private citizen. You want to get him and nail him? You think that's going to do any good for you in the 2024 election? Sorry, it's not. I mean, hell, a lot of Democrats thought he was a dog when he was president. But you know what he did as a Democrat? And he's not a conservative. He balanced the fucking budget, something Republicans have never done. Now, if they find out Bill Clinton was involved in sex trafficking and it was Jeffrey Epstein's buddy. I don't have a problem with him being taken to task. I don't have a problem with his suffering any punishment. Even if it's an embarrassment to Hillary Clinton, I don't fucking care. That's old news. These people aren't part of government anymore. They don't represent this country anymore. They used to, but they don't. So if that's your big game plan, you fucking go for it. But Trump's going to be on that list too. And you need to acknowledge that. You're going to look stupid if you go after Clinton and you don't go after Trump, who will be on the list. And if you don't go after Trump, you can bet the Democrats will. So this is going to be a wash. One is running for president, one hasn't been president for years. Which one is more important? Donald Trump's more important, especially since he's lied about everything. Now, Bill Clinton's lied about a few things too, but again, who fucking cares? Nobody fucking cares what Bill Clinton is doing now. I mean, he's old as fuck. Have you seen him? He doesn't even look like he used to look. All right. Special counsel Jack Smith has the upper hand in his race to the courtroom against former President Donald Trump. That comes from a legal expert. CNN legal analyst Norm Eisen argues that Smith's powerful filing Saturday was a strong move against Trump's leading delay tactic. His argument that the presidential immunity bars him from being prosecuted on federal election interference charges. Jack Smith hammers him with all the weaknesses of this claim in this new filing, Eisen told the Situation Room viewers. There's no precedent, no case law for this of any kind. There's no substance to absolute immunity. Now, Eisen believes Smith's 82-page filing will serve not only to quash the presidential immunity claim, but to speed up the debate so this federal election interference case, stayed until this question is resolved, can resume. Trump's playing for delay, trying to push this out as long as possible, Eisen explains. Trump knows he's going to lose. Should Trump delay the trial past November and reclaim the White House, he could theoretically order the Justice Department to kill the case, but Eisen believes Smith has the upper hand. Smith is telling the D.C. Circuit, hurry up, decide fast. And you can understand that the court knows the importance of this. This is putting democracy on the line. If you put a fascist in the office, there is no need for federal courts or the Supreme Court for that matter. So they have every reason to answer this quickly and answer it properly. Told you before, there's no way any court gives Donald Trump immunity from fucking anything. He's now a private citizen. He's committed crimes. They tell us no one is above the law, so prove it to us. And I believe they will do that. He can try to delay, but he's not going to be able to delay long enough. It's still going to get done before the election. And as I've said before, it almost doesn't matter because there's no way he wins the election. This is really a big Hail Mary for Donald Trump. If his only hope is to win the election and cancel these cases, he's living on a dream, motherfucker, because it's not going to happen. All right. To underscore how much Iowa means to Ron DeSantis, because we have the caucus coming up in a couple of weeks, the Florida governor was unwilling to put his campaigning there on hold, even in the waning hours of 2023. At a New Year's Eve event at the Sheraton Hotel Ballroom in West Des Moines, jeans and cowboy boots outnumbered tuxedos and cocktail dresses, and Miller Lite seemed more popular than champagne. And there certainly was no Bud Light there, I guarantee you that. But the modesty of the affair, where roughly 200 people turned out for the last campaign event of the busy year in Iowa, showed its importance to the host, who has wagered the future of his Republican bid for president on the leadoff Iowa caucuses just 2 weeks away. DeSantis asked supporters, are you ready to work hard over these next 2 weeks and win the Iowa caucus? All 200 of them. I think you need more than that, Ronnie. And I think your chances of winning the Iowa caucuses are slim. Donald Trump is still way out in front, not even close to you, motherfucker. And Haley is nipping at your heels. Um, so I think that Ron DeSantis is in desperation mode too, and I don't know that he really understands that his chances of winning this caucus are zero. Now, starting this month, January, as I said, things are going to start out be fast and furious. Donnie Trump's going to be a busy motherfucker. Donald Trump is set to face yet another trial this month involving allegations that he duped investors into putting money into a failed video phone. The little mentioned civil trial is scheduled to start on January 29th. The judge has, however, signaled that it's likely the date will be pushed back. Nobody even cares about this one, but this will be another one, taking more money out of Donald Trump's pocket. The lawsuit, which was filed in 2018, claims Trump was paid millions of dollars to endorse the company ACN, which was marketing a video phone, a technology that became quickly outdated with the advent of smartphones. Now, the lawsuit claims he used his TV show Celebrity Apprentice to promote the phone, but didn't disclose a financial connection to ACN. The lawsuit claims he said the phones were bringing in $500 million a year. Yeah, that sounds like Donnie Trump. A video phone system. God, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Um, I got a perfect name for it. You can call it FaceTime. Yeah, you dumb motherfuckers. Now, Newsweek report quotes the lawsuit as stating Trump also told investors that he'd experienced the opportunity and done a lot of research, and that his endorsement was not for any money. Not a word of this is true. It went on. Trump told prospective investors that you have a great opportunity before you at ACN without any of the risk most entrepreneurs take. Yeah, he didn't do jack shit. They didn't sell jack shit, but you got to be honest. Didn't have a real good fucking idea. Little behind the times. Those two deserve themselves. But he has another trial set up for this month, and that is E. Jean Carroll. You're probably saying to yourself, he already did that. Yeah, he did the first one. Now he's got a second one. And he's not happy about that. He's trying to delay it or get it dismissed, and none of that shit is working, as is the case with everything that Donald Trump does. There's a lot of shit going on in January that Donald Trump is going to have to attend to. And it's going to be hard to juggle that shit. And this is what I'm talking about. With all this shit going on, how is he going to focus on campaigning? How is he going to get anything done? With all these legal fees, where is he going to get the money from? Where is he going to get the money to live his lavish lifestyle? Donald Trump is in trouble here, and he's not going to have time to run for president or the money. Now, public officials' families should never benefit financially from the person's political power. That's what Representative Jim Jordan said, and he was immediately hit by a ferocious backlash. What a dumb statement. I mean, I agree with the statement, but coming from this fucking clown, you got to be kidding. Jordan took to the airways to defend an impeachment inquiry of President Joe Biden that has yet to uncover evidence of wrongdoing. When you do something that benefits your family financially and you're a public official, Jordan told Fox News, that's not supposed to happen. Replied Shelby Kent Stewart on X. Jared and Ivanka, advisors to Trump during his administration, would like a word. Kent Stewart was not the only viewer of Jordan's problematic decree to take umbrage with his political allies' financial forays. MSNBC producer Steve Bannon published Thursday a scathing screed, both defending Biden and skewering Trump. He said, I could spend a few paragraphs noting that there simply isn't any evidence of Biden ever using his office to advance his family business interest, Bannon writes, but that's not the only problem here. The problem for Bannon and thousands of people who have weighed in on X is best summarized in a Politico report on January 2020 when Trump was still in the White House. Donald Trump has accomplished something no president before him has done, fusing his private interest, business interest, with America's highest public office. That's what was written. He has spent 1 out of every 3 days as president visiting one of his luxury resorts, hotels, or golf courses, wrote Anita Kumar. He has leveraged his powerful international platform to promote his development dozens of times, and he has directed millions of dollars from U.S. taxpayers to his businesses around the globe. This is a fact. This is the truth. And if Jim Jordan is so worried about what Joe Biden and Hunter Biden did, you really got to look at this because this is pretty blatant. As testimony from New York Attorney General Letitia James's $250 million civil fraud lawsuit against Trump and the organization shows Trump's businesses was a family business. This point was not lost upon viewers who took to X to comment. Is he joking here? Said Diane Callahan. He perfectly described Donald J. Trump. Others took the opportunity to draw a comparison to Representative James Comer, who reportedly used a shell company and paid his brother $200,000, and Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, whom watchdog groups have accused of essentially laundering money through his wife, Ginny. Hello, wrote at DC Celeste Spencer. Comer did something that benefited him and his family. And he did. But somehow they don't seem to be as interested about that shit. It doesn't seem to bother them. It's okay if a Republican does it, but God forbid if a Democrat even thinks about it. See, the problem is Joe Biden didn't do anything along those lines. It's pure projection. And when asked about these other things, they don't defend it. They don't respond to it. They just divert and distract. They say something else about Joe Biden. This is how credible these motherfuckers are. They're not credible at all. It's a joke. It's like Donald Trump spewing childish shit, thinking it's going to work. I'm truly amazed sometimes when I watch what's going on with the Republican Party. I never would imagine that they would come up this ridiculous bullshit, this childish adolescent shit, and think it's going to work. It makes me take pause in terms of the intelligence of those people in the House of Representatives and the Senate, for that matter, in the Republican Party. They've either got to be stupid or desperate or both. And they're losing, and they're going to continue to lose because no matter what they try to do to smear Joe Biden, none of it has worked, and it's not going to work. All right, we're going to wrap up the Rational Boomer podcast. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen. I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow from Georgia.